So we're here at Universal for a pretty momentous day. We are here for the technical rehearsal of VillainCon Minions Blast. It is gonna open up here soon, so we're gonna rush in there. We're gonna give you guys our honest opinion of the ride. I have brought Saber along with me, as always, our resident Minion expert. She will run down how great the ride is from a Minions fan's perspective. Then after the ride, we are going to check out all the Halloween Horror Nights updates happening around the park because there is a lot going on. And then there's new merch to also talk about. And there's some changes to some of the stores. We'll talk about that as well. So let's hurry on inside and get into this new ride. So we just got off of the new Minions ride, VillainCon Minions Blast. We've rode it twice now, and we have some opinions about the ride. Now, Saber is a huge Minions fan, so I'm gonna let her do the positives that she had on the ride. I'll touch on the negatives. We were not able to film the queue, and obviously we aren't able to film the ride. So I'll just put some clips up of VillainCon and Minions Land. I don't know. But for those who don't know, the new VillainCon's ride is a moving walkway ride that you get a toy gun and you get to shoot at massive screens. If you've been over at Hollywood Studios at Disney, they have Toy Story Mania with the big screens and you shoot at it kind of like that screen-wise, but not walking platform-wise. It's different. And we got different opinions on it, so that's really cool. So I'm gonna let Saber go first, then I'll follow up with how I feel about it.
So as a Minions fan, I've seen all the movies. I always have been a Minions fan, so I feel like that added a lot of the positive aspects to the ride for me because I understand the background of the characters and like the situation. The only problem that I feel like Sean had that really kind of destroyed the ride for him was that he didn't really understand the story. And when you're going through the queue, they don't really explain what's going on and the characters. They don't really give you, there's no pre-show to the ride, so there's no like introduction to like, this is what's going on, this is what your mission is. Like Transformers, they give you a mission, like you're doing this, you're trying to save this, but this ride there really isn't a mission. So if you don't understand the characters or the movies, you're not going to understand what's going on. But other than that, it was all positive for me. The queue is super high tech. They have a lot of moving picture frames. It's like a tech screen on the walls. There's a lot of Easter eggs from the movies. I don't want to go into too much because I don't want to spoil it, but it's super cool. It's the first room that you enter is like the convention. So there's a lot of things on the walls to see. There's like a lot of exhibits almost. They're like in glass and they're like stuff sitting in there. So I don't know what to call those exhibits. Like a museum, because that's what it is. Like you're walking through and there's like glass cases of items next to you. My favorite part was when you're going into the big room to your left in the corner, they have this big, like, it looks like a swimming fish tank, but it's obviously a screen, like the water on the TV screen, and it's a big gator. Like he's in this tank, but you can see him moving around and he's like cartoon, so it's super cute. So another thing I really enjoyed was that the line was super fast. When we were waiting, we only stopped a few times. Since it is a moving walkway type ride, they are shoveling people onto the moving walkway fairly quickly. So we did only pause a couple times throughout the line. The only time we really did pause for a brief amount of time was when they were handing out the guns to people. So overall, the line was really, really fast. Also, another thing I thought was super cool was the fact that they have the Universal app and the guns that sync together. So how it works is you're going to want to download the Universal app, you're going to want to make an account, and then when you go through the queue, they give you instructions on how to sync the gun to your phone. So you're going to want to just hold your phone next to the gun, just like kind of like when you go to mobile checkout at a store and you like tap your wallet on the checkout. I don't know what's the screen when you check out, the way that you tap your phone onto the cash register to pay with your phone. You're going to do the same thing with the gun. It's going to sync your account to the gun. Your username and your icon will pop up, and then you'll be able to see your icon on the screen. As you're like shooting at the screen, you'll be able to see where your pointer is because your picture will pop up. Sean's going to touch on that briefly just because we didn't get to fully experience this today just because it's in technical rehearsal and they don't have the whole app syncing process set up today. But it would be super cool if they had this like on Men in Black because I think that's going to be a real nice personal touch to the ride. And saving your scores will be really nice too, so you can compete with your family and friends. That'll be super cool for me and Sean to do that. So once you get onto the ride, make sure you're looking up and around because there's super cool things. Like there was a huge chandelier on the ceiling in one of the rooms. There's also like picture frames on the walls that are like electronic, obviously, that you can shoot at. you can like break the picture that's inside of it, and then you can see the wall behind it. So that's super cool that you can kind of shoot other things rather than the huge screen. But the huge screens were really, really cool. They were like massive, and you can see the minions, like the different backgrounds. The minions are doing different things in the screen, so that's super cool too. I thought it was really cute. Like there's one that's a conveyor belt, like a factory, and they're like going and then they fall off the edge. That's super funny. But they did do something really cool with the guns themselves. There's two different triggers. There's one on the bottom and then there's one on the top. The top one is just your regular ammo, which you can shoot wherever, and then the front one is like a power-up almost, where there's like cubes on the screen and they have different icons that mean different things, and then you can shoot. Once you shoot one of the cubes, you have the power-up loaded onto your gun, so then you can use the power-up like throughout the ride. So at one point during the ride, there is an underwater scene where like the minions are swimming by and you're shooting at the stuff behind them. The person next to me had the ice cube power up. She shot at the minion and he turned into an ice cube while he was swimming and just kind of like floated off the screen. It was really super cute because his body just like froze and then he just slowly disappeared. But overall, the ride was super cute, super unique. I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to spoil it, but there was one screen at the very end that was really, really cool. I didn't realize Universal was going to include that, but I really, really enjoyed that. That made the ride for me. So definitely try it. Definitely go on the ride. I approve. It was super fun.
So my first gripe with the ride is the guns. So the guns are fairly large. They're about 1.5 feet long, I'd say. They are a decent size where you have to hold it with 2 hands. The guns are pretty cool once you get to use them. They have the feedback, so every time you shoot, it vibrates. They have a little screen on them that shows you your username and your points. You can also connect it to your phone, like Saber says. But other than that, they're big. So like if you have a child carrying this really big gun, I mean, I don't know. Once you get onto the moving walkway, you have to stand on a specific dot. There's an orange dot and then there's a blue dot. Kind of staggered, but very close. They pack in a lot of people into that line. So what happened with me and Saber is I'm on the orange dot, which is behind Saber. She's on the blue dot, and there's screens on both sides. I was constantly, since the gun is so large, having to pick up the gun and move it around over Saber to get to both sides. At one point, I was even shooting over Saber's shoulder because she was in the way. At one point, it's just straight on, but there's a screen to your right. So it's really awkward, especially if you are in the front of your group and there is a stranger in front of you. You will constantly be running into them. It was a problem that I didn't think would be that big of a deal, but then actually riding on it, it took me out of the ride. It really took me out of the experience a little bit, just constantly having to understand, okay, if I turn really quick to get to the next screen, I'm just gonna knock Saber out with this thing. So just beware of that. And like I was saying earlier, if you have small ones, the gun is probably the same size as them. So they'll be lugging these things around depending on how old your child is. And there are railings, so it's a see-through glass on both sides, so you don't like obviously run into the area. But if you have a child that is, you know, on the shorter end, they're gonna have a very hard time like shooting past the glass guardrail, and to shoot over it they would have to like get really up there. So it's a ride made for kids, but then like I don't know how it would be for a child to hold a 3-pound toy gun that's literally maybe the same size as them, half their size even, and shoot at targets that they can't even see because there's a railing and they have to like, I don't know. If you guys get on the ride soon and you have a child, please let me know how the experience was for them, because just looking at it, I don't know. So my last negative with the ride is that it's very difficult to find your icon, especially if you don't have the app set up. So when we rode today, it's still in technical rehearsals, so we didn't get to link up our phone. I actually got yelled at for having my phone out to try to link it up. They thought I was taking a video, but I wasn't. But it was just a whole mess. Like, you're seeing this big screen with all these little dots moving around, shooting things, and things are blowing up, and minions are turning into ice cubes, and things are just everywhere. So it was really a mess. Like I said earlier, I wish they spread you out a little bit more so there's not so much happening at one time. Like, I was just pulling the trigger and hoping for the best. At that point, I lost my icon multiple times. So it was just hard for me to make sense of it all. I mean, as a kid, you don't really care, so you just want to like shoot things and feel the feedback of the gun and feel like you're doing something. But I would wish that there was just less of everything happening at one time. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. And it's very difficult to tell what is earning you points, because you have your icon, you're shooting, whatever. I wish there would be like a plus 50 over your icon, or like a plus 10 when you shoot something, so you know, like, okay, I need to shoot at this thing, or I need to not shoot at this thing. The queue doesn't tell you anything. It literally says shoot at everything to earn points, but then you would shoot at stuff like on the conveyor belt. There's boxes in this one area. I'm shooting at the boxes. It doesn't do anything unless it's a special box. Then it does something for you. So I don't know what earns you more points than others, and then you have to constantly look at your gun, which again takes you out of the experience. Look at your gun and then figure it out that way. I like how in Toy Story Mania it does that, where like it pops up like 50 points, 50 points, 50 points. This, it's just like shoot at whatever you want, who cares, and you know, but there's colors and explosions and all this stuff. You're gonna love it. Yeah, I don't know. My overall feelings about the ride, it's fun if you're like into the haptic feedback of the gun and into kind of an arcade shooter, but I wish it was more fleshed out. I wish it was more, I wish there was more of a goal to it. I wish there was more explanation into it. But check it out if you're here. Like I said, Saber had fun with it. I know a lot of other people had fun with it. I just have my gripes with it. As I thought on our second time through that I'd have a lot more fun with the ride. Now that I'm like, I know what I'm in for and I know what to expect, but the second time around, I'm still like, okay, what still am I shooting at? And what is happening here? So I was just a little bit confused, but you guys might enjoy the ride. Don't let my negatives, you know, sway you from riding the ride.
Universal has officially announced that Stranger Things is coming back to HHN for their very own house once again, and I am so excited to see how that's going to be. They also released the merchandise. They have super cool hats and really scary t-shirts of Vecna here in the 5 and Dime. The only thing I hate about the t-shirt is the fact that it's black and it is hot outside, so I will not be purchasing one, but I really want one because Vecna looks super cool. If you look closely to the shirt, it's actually like almost 3D, like it has texture to his face, which is really gross and really scary, but that's the whole point, so it's super cool. Since our last HHN video, they also have released the frequent fear passes for HHN, as well as the multi-day tickets. So if you're going to HHN and you're super excited for Halloween, leave us your favorite spooky emoji in the comments, a skull, a pumpkin, whatever that may be. Put it in the comments.
So Universal is gearing up for Halloween Horror Nights. It starts September 1st, and you can see it around the park. They are starting to set up the scare zones, which is me and Saber's favorite part of the preparations for Halloween Horror Nights. Just seeing them built and then seeing them finished, it's just really cool. So we're gonna go around the parks very quickly, show you guys all the updates that's here. Starting here at Central Park, they are starting to put up the lighting rigs. They are everywhere throughout Central Park. This was one of our favorite scare zones last year, and it's always typically our favorite because it is covered by these trees. It's dark, it's moody, it's kind of closed off. It's gonna be really cool in there. Let's go on to the next one. So now here at the back side of the park, you have lighting rigs going up everywhere. You have a few over by the old Fear Factor stage where they have their shows typically. There's more lighting rigs in front of Grimace Place. And then here in the backside of Lombard's, right in front of Pier 41, you have a bunch of rigs for signage. You have a bunch of smaller rigs for signage, and then you have a bunch of lighting rigs down the end of the pier here. Typically, this is the location of a bar kind of lounge area. You can come back here, it'll be all decorated. You can get specialty drinks back here on the backside of Lombard's. It's actually our favorite place to get drinks because typically nobody really comes down this way. It's more out of the way, more secluded, and they have some really good drinks here. And the seating last year was really great. I don't think I have any footage of it, but they had some lounge chairs and some more cushiony chairs, better than these metal chairs here. So other than that, there's more lighting rigs at the exit of Fast and Furious. That is always a scare zone, so it'd be really cool to see what's going up there. All these riggings really mean just the start of the preparations for the scare zone. Once all the rigging is down, that's when everything else starts popping up. You have all of your facades start coming up for the scare zones. Last year we did a number of videos. They slowly start appearing and more will appear up until the final days till HHN. It's super exciting for us HHN fans, and if you are planning on coming to Halloween Horror Nights and would like some really good tips on it, we do have a video. I'll link it right up here. Check that one out. We give some fantastic tips for having the greatest night at Halloween Horror Nights. But other than that, let's go check out some more stuff.
This Starbucks behind me across from Louis is temporarily closed, but don't you worry, Starbucks fans, there is a Starbucks that's open right now. It just has moved, so I'm actually just going to show you where it is. So now it's moved here temporarily in front of Cafe La Bamba, which they have all the normal things. They have all the cups and everything in there that they normally would. It's really cool in there, actually. This building's super pretty. I almost wanted to kind of see them do Starbucks in this building, but use the bar window as like a mobile order pickup. That would be super cool. But you can't mobile order in the parks, so maybe in the future.
So here at the front of the park, Universal has a new merchandise line. It is based off their founding date of 1912. It kind of looks like a university, like you've graduated in 1912. I love it. There's so much. The color scheme is amazing. The yellow and black is just, it's crisp, it's clean. Love it. And there's just so much of it. I was not expecting there to be basically every type of merchandise you can want in their new merch line. So they have t-shirts, they have hats, they have fanny packs, they have lanyards and buttons. There's just a ton of stuff, and it all looks really good. You can find it again here at the front of the park at the Universal Studio Store. You can also find it at City Walk at the Universal Store out there. And I believe you can find it at Islands of Adventure at the Trading Company in the front of the park over there. And it just looks fantastic. They haven't said when they're gonna stop selling this line, but as good as it looks, I hope it's selling well and stays around for a while. So before we wrap up the video, I have been thinking all day long as we've been walking around here about VillainCon, talked to a few people. People really seem to like it. As a child, I think it'd be really fun. I mean, I don't think they care that much about what's happening on the screen. I think they would just have fun with the vibration of the controller and blasting things away. So I think that kids will have a fun time. Like I said earlier, if you do have kids and you did have the opportunity to ride on Minions Blast, then leave a comment in the description and let me know how they feel about it. I've been wanting to ask how other people's children have liked the ride, but we haven't met up with anybody that has had children that have been on the ride. So let us know. Anyway, that's the end of the video. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you love the video, hit the subscribe button. If you want to see us more, hit the video below me. Have a great rest of your night. Goodbye.